Hey, I'm Livewire Charlie.
And I'm Danger Ross.
And we are Live Danger.
And you're watching
PJ
and DG Talk Wrestling.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We are without our referee tonight, so we have another no-holds-barred match going on for you. BJ here, DG over there. Let's talk about it. What happened? What's going on this week?
All right, should we just jump into Saturday night's main event?
I think, I think it'd be best if we just walk through that and then, talk about everything else after.
Well, see what we can fit in here with other stuff as well. On Raw, we had the whole Gunther and Finn Balor stuff continuing to the point where it looked like with Damian Priest now getting involved, coming out there, got himself into the World Heavyweight Championship at Saturday night's main event. And a side note with that, Adam Pearce also told the Judgment Day that they have to defend their tag team titles again against the War Raiders now next week. So that's a match I'm looking forward to. But now to the World Heavyweight Championship match for Saturday night's main event. What were your thoughts on this?
I understand from a storytelling standpoint why they inserted Damian Priest. And I know they're going somewhere with it, but I kind of really wanted to see that one-on-one. But for what we got, it worked out pretty much how you would have expected. Pretty much Balor and Priest cost each other in the match, their hatred for each other kind of overtook their desire to win the match.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I kind of looked at Damian Priest getting involved as well, as it would have been heel versus heel otherwise. And it's very rare we truly do get a heel versus heel match. But Damian Priest's good addition because of Finn Balor costing him the title, not once, but twice. If we count, what was it, SummerSlam?
Right.
Yeah. So he kind of deserved to be in there. And him and Finn played spoiler to each other and allowed Gunther to win that match.
Pretty much.
Which now, where does Gunther go from here?
He needs a challenger. But if he changes brands, there's some ideas. But honestly, who's left on Raw that that he hasn't had a little thing with?
You know what? You could swing back around to Chad Gable. They did. Chad Gable's
They're on SmackDown now, right?
No, I think they're still
Alpha? Or not Alpha?
American Made.
American Made?
They appeared on SmackDown this past week.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Okay. But, until we haven't had any official transfers yet.
I'll check with you.
And I'm assuming that Finn Balor and Damian Priest will now be fully engulfed in their feud. But overall, even on the show, it was the middle of the show, and it was a good placement for the card.
You're right. Oh, yeah, definitely. There was a good pace to the whole show, and this was right where I needed to be.
Yeah, it was a good start, or not a start, but a good match to just bring everybody back. After the match, we will talk about next, which is Liv Morgan and Io Sky.
Yeah,
that was a fun match.
Yeah, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but what really stood out was the confrontation after the match. But
yeah, which we will get to that. Because that's what we all want, But there was a moment, and Jesse Ventura, who makes an excellent quip about Liv Morgan and her toughness, was a headbutt that she took from Io. And the way Jesse Ventura just put it over after the match,
Oh, yeah.
as most people get knocked out by that. I absolutely loved it because it makes Liv Morgan credible to put over her toughness in the
Oh, yeah.
situation.
Yeah. When
But
Jesse the
that was
Butler-
a good match. I felt like the whole show, Saturday night's main event, was good.
Yeah. I mean, overall, I said to you before we went on air, it did exactly what it needed to do without doing too much.
Yeah.
Like,
You
real
know-
good show.
Yeah, it was exactly what I thought it would be. And it went the way I thought it would.
Were there any-
Heel Mark, how you doing in the chat?
Oh, hey, what's up there?
We've talked about Gunther retaining his championship, and right now we're talking about Liv Morgan and Io Sky. And you are caught up there, buddy. But back to it. So yeah, that was a good match. You know, like good solid championship match.
Yeah.
I didn't really believe Io was going to win the title.
Yeah.
Because now, after the match, we get them celebrating at the top of the walkway, and Rhea Ripley's music hits, and they come out, have a bit of a face-to-face, a little bit of trash talk, it looked like, going back and forth. So you think we get that as another match for January 6th?
I mean,
Because it almost feels like that Raw is going to get almost treated like a PLE.
maybe not for January 6th, but that match is definitely coming up in the next, maybe a Rumble. But yeah, Rhea's hungry. She wants that belt, and I don't think they're going to let this end until she has it.
You think they can stretch that storyline back out to the Rumble?
No, but
I think January 6th would
We'll
be
stop
a good. I think January 6th will be a good show because that will get combined with another match we will be talking about later on.
and see, and just an aside, this always bothers me. January 6th, when I think January 6th, I
Yes.
think a
Yes,
couple years
yes.
ago. So every time I'm like, wait a minute, what are we talking about?
So I'll refer. I'll try to remember to say Raw on Netflix. Excuse me. So the next match we're going to talk about from Saturday night's main event, Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn, which opened the show. It was a great opening match for the
Just
show.
hard hitting. That's how you open a show like that, right there.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
that's
and-
fun. Yeah.
the storyline going on with Drew right now is very, very interesting to me. And
Feel
for
Mark
multiple
was
reasons, is because I feel like all of a sudden, maybe in the past 2 months, kayfabe, we're seeing the birth of a new version of kayfabe. Oh, yes, and I do agree with you, Heel Mark. I just had to get that thought out real quick.
When I was doing the promo story on Instagram, I was adding music, and just from watching the show, I had that song "You Are My Obsession" stuck in my head, and so I wanted to add that, but if you know how the song goes, I was like, yeah, maybe I'll use something else. So I went with the Roman Reigns theme. We the ones.
But yeah, this Drew Sammy match, as you said, hard hitting, great opener, and this storyline with Drew has been really good lately and interesting. So I'm not know how much people are familiar with Busted Open and listen to it or anything regularly, but on YouTube this past week they had the Busties, which is the show's awards for the year of top superstar and stuff like that. And Drew McIntyre won one of the awards. And I think it was for Feud of the Year with CM Punk.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe it could have been Match of the Year too, also, with CM Punk at the Hell in the Cell. But he's sitting there, they're asking him questions and stuff, and he's like, hey, it's really cool to win this award and stuff. And he starts going off about things he's missed being on tour with family. Birthdays, funerals, stuff like that.
I heard that clip.
And they reference it during his entrance, and he just literally says, In the end, I really don't care what the internet has to say. F the fans, dropped the mic and walked right out. The look of shock on everybody's face. Oh, it was something because it was genuine shock.
Right.
And we've seen this attitude all of a sudden. Like, he went after Jimmy.
Oh, yeah. Heel mark, definitely.
Oh, God. It was they used him perfectly. They
Whoever
brought,
took
he,
stage,
they
we
had him.
remember.
Yeah, they had him at the table just for the main event. I love that they did the podium thing near the top of the ramp. I kind of wish that could make a bit more of a comeback, even if it's just for bigger shows. But right now, with them doing Saturday Night Main Event, let's keep it on that because that's a very cool thing you don't see no more, and that adds to that retro feeling.
Yeah, definitely. The vibe was amazing again. Yeah.
Yeah.
So where were we?
All right. So moving on. As we had talked about since the beginning of it, the Women's United States Championship Tournament. On SmackDown, we have Michin successfully get to the finals. And I'm sorry, heel mark, but you had to watch Chelsea Green defeat your favorite Bayley, who is a lot of people's favorite, which to get to that finals. Yeah, we all love Bayley. Let's not get it wrong. But, and then Chelsea Green defeating Michin to become the inaugural and first ever Women's United States Champion.
You look at that matchup, and then, again, I said this off air. You look at that matchup, obviously Chelsea's winning. Michin, no discredit. She's amazing, great wrestler. I love, watching her matches, but she hasn't really been involved in anything. She's just kind of there. She's had a lot of matches lately, but you knew Chelsea was going all the way with this one.
I mean, I called it from the beginning of the tournament. Like, it felt like it was a great moment to get a title on her because, let's be honest, she's been over for the past year. And I felt like Michin was also the right opponent because they had the dumpster match a couple months ago. They actually have history with themselves outside of WWE as well.
Also, her attire, very Zack Ryder-esque.
Yes, the one pant leg. And did you also notice that she had little figures of herself on her gear? She decorated her gear with little photos and cutouts of herself.
That's what that was. I was watching it on my iPad, so I couldn't really see.
Yes, that's what that was. I really enjoyed this match. The finish was great. And Michin deserved to be there, and I agreed with you off air that it's nothing against her. She hasn't had nothing to do since the OC.
And her husband's amazing.
Yes. But they haven't had anything for her to do since the OC split, essentially. AJ is like, well, AJ did they kind of went their own separate ways. Yeah, AJ got injured, came back. We never really got a chance to see that go, but then we saw the slow separation. Like Michin and the Good Brothers aren't coming out together no more.
If the Good Brothers split, we have CM Punk. We could easily get Serena Deeb and do a Straight Edge Society read.
Oh God, no! Please, for the love of God, no! It was. I loved it for when it happened, but I don't think it would work now. Like CM Punk's beyond that. You'd have to get somebody else. Now, if we're going to talk about maybe Serena Deeb doing it, but I don't see her shaving her head again. To be perfectly honest.
Oh, no. And she shouldn't. She has a beautiful head of hair.
Well, heel mark, your goat there in Bayley didn't get the job done against Chelsea. But that's okay, because as I said, I don't think Bayley ever needed the United States Women's title, and I don't think it needed her. I think it needed somebody because those type of titles are meant to start elevating somebody. Having that title could lead to Chelsea Green finally getting a women's championship match, and she has a win over Bayley in that tournament. Hey, that legitimizes it even more. Boy, I hear a lot of Facebooking.
Yeah. I was waiting to hear from someone, and I just heard from them. Oh, that's not it. There we go. Believe it or not, Bayley is my absolute favorite wrestler. Yes, female is my favorite wrestler. She's the good. Yeah. I like Bayley. I'm not in love with Bayley. Oh yeah. At least 3 more times in her career. At least.
Well, hold on. Is he saying that she will eventually hold the women's U.S. title, or will be champion again?
He says that title. So yes, I'm assuming he meant the women's U.S. title.
I mean, I can see her getting a run with it down the line, but
Yeah,
if
we got some championship runs left in Bayley.
Yeah, and there's a lot of new story to be told now. There's going to be a lot of people gunning to take that championship off of her. So it's only a matter of time. But again, I think she holds the title till about WrestleMania, because that's where you would want to see a heel like her get her upcoming.
I want to see, and Paul, if you're listening, I want to see Bayley eventually win the title and do like Cena did, the U.S. title open challenge. She fights someone else every week for that belt.
Yes, I could definitely see her doing that. That would be definitely something to see. But, I think Chelsea was the right pick right now. Well, let's not make the mistake that I have repeatedly said I feel like TNA has done with Joe Hendry. You got somebody who's red hot of where they are on the card, making the best of the couple minutes of TV time they're getting, and they're 100% over. And in this case, it's a mid-card championship. And being that and she will forever be the first women's U.S. champion. Bayley has plenty of credentials to her. She didn't need to be the first one. I think that she is going to be one of Chelsea's first opponents as well.
Yeah.
I think we maybe get a rematch with Michin, because that's usually something that happens along the way, because she's going to want the rematch to be like, oh yeah, no, off day, whatever excuse it is. Because I would a Chelsea Green Bayley feud. I'm looking forward to those promos back and forth.
Yeah, I feel like, that would be amazing. I would love to see that.
But I love open challenges, and I have a strong dislike for them at the exact same time. I love the idea of the surprise, because you don't know who it could be. Bayley could have an open what if Bayley has an open challenge and Jordan Grace comes out?
Or like Awesome Kong.
No, but just in the general, like it could be anybody.
Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah.
Like the surprise, just like the Royal Rumble, right? We usually know 22, 23 spots, and 7 of them we really
either legends or call-ups.
Or a return.
Or celebrities or returns.
Yeah, because we have those surprises. It just leaves a lot of room.
Or, in the rare instance, commentators.
Yes. More in a Royal Rumble when it comes to that. I'll always be a mark for the announce tables where the announcer comes away from the announce table,
Starts taking off his suit. Oh, well, I'll be right back.
I loved Pat McAfee's last year. Who was it?
That was a good one.
He just is there, hop, because the spot got messed up. Somebody else was still supposed to be in the ring. And he just hops over the top rope and just hops right back over. Nope, it's not worth it. That's just,
but there's been a few of those.
Comedy gold.
There's been a few of those, but it's very rare. Very rare. It's
Now,
very
before moving on, Bailey versus Roxanne Perez at WrestleMania.
oh,
Wow.
I like it.
You know what? I'll even go as far to say that there doesn't need to be a championship involved in that match.
I would love to see that, but I don't see it happening.
I think that we might get one more match out of Cody and KO at this point. And then, because after that pile driver, and just from what I saw online, Kevin Owens did leave with that Wing Championship belt, which we know now it's not continuing, which I guess now is a good time to move on to Cody Rhodes and KO for the WWE title. Perfect main event for what this show was. Because I love the idea, because it does add some legacy to it, because there weren't a lot of people there who you would say were around in or has some type of bloodline connection, right, to that. And Cody Rhodes, it was the perfect guy to have in that spot. The match him and KO put on, absolutely wonderful.
Quite the hard-hitting affair.
Oh, yeah. KO still taunting Randy Orton.
I'm not comfortable with the face using heel tactics. In certain circumstances, that's fine, but the pure white baby face, like, I don't know, I don't like it.
I mean, well, let's put. So, are we talking about the finish with Crossroads that Kevin Owens did not hit the chair, and Cody essentially hit Crossroads himself onto the chair?
Well, I mean,
I
Owens had the match won, okay?
Well,
And
Owens should have been paying more attention and not knock the ref out.
all right, incoming.
But you know what? It just adds to the idea of KO feeling like he's the one being screwed. He stepped out of the way. He threw Cody into the first ref. And, well, by the way, Charles Art Robinson took a hell of a forearm
Lil
from
Nate.
Cody from Cody Rhodes in that spot. Like, I was just like, oh, I hope that was just a good sell, because wow.
Lil Nate's taking bumps like 30 years later, 40 years later.
Yeah, right. He must think he's still in 1998 shape.
You wouldn't see Molyneux doing that. Ooh.
Maybe that's why Miss Christina Marie fired him.
Maybe that, man.
Anyway,
I can't wait for the next SPO show. I am going
February
to SPO
8th.
withdrawal, man. Right after a week after the Rumble. Oh,
Yeah.
I can't wait, man.
But
SPO.
get back on the topic, though.
Yeah,
Be-
sorry.
Being this, all right, I will answer that really quick. Because WWE has so many former members of the Bullet Club, will we ever see a Bullet
Nope.
Club WWE?
Nope.
So we kind of already have, but they're
We-
not the Bullet Club, the OC.
They can't call them the Bullet Club. There's too much red tape there. New Japan.
Now, Now, the idea would become at that point, if they were going to use the Bullet Club name, if anybody could soften the blow between New Japan, the Bucks, and everything, and with Cody also being there, who is a former member of the Bullet Club, even though it was short term.
All right, hold on. Cody, AJ, Good Brothers, Tama Tonga, Tongaloa,
Finn Balor,
former leader.
Those are a lot of core members.
Yeah.
But I'm just
I
saying,
want to see Haku come back, man.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of them there, but at the same time, if I was going to have that group in WWE, it would be the Good Brothers, it would be AJ, and it would be Finn. I'm not involving anybody else. Those are the recognizable names from the first two versions of the Bullet Club, because when AJ left, Finn took it over. Oh, or was it the other way around?
Yeah,
Finn
Finn.
left and then AJ took it over. Okay.
Yeah. But on the other hand, you got AEW, so you got Kenny Omega, you got the Young Bucks.
So you have that version. You have that version over there. You know, and then
There's more. I'm sure
Oh,
there's.
yeah.
I can't think of any right now, but I'm sure there's more over there.
I believe Okada might have
Okada.
been Bullet Club at one point.
I said Tonga. I said Tamatanga, Tongaloa,
Yes, they were said. Those names were mentioned.
and I said Haku. Bonus point.
But like I said, when it comes down to it, that's AJ, Finn, and the Good Brothers. Because those would be the only real names most WWE fans would recognize as references to the Bullet Club.
Jay White, Juice Robinson. Sorry.
Yes. Yeah. I thought you were going to have something to say about that. You were still on the AEW.
I knew there were more. They weren't there.
And we're talking about different generations of the Bullet Club that has been around almost 20 years now?
Yeah, wow.
15, 20 years that the Bullet Club.
Definitely.
Yeah, that group has changed so many times that it's absolutely ridiculous. But it's great because it's something consistent. And it's something that for New Japan really works really well because the fans over there love it. The fans here love it. So why not? But back to this Saturday night's main event here. Can't let us stay off the rails too long. That there's a lot that happens in this match. I get like the idea of the heel tactic of the chair being used, but Cody didn't bring the chair into it. He wasn't planning on using it. He was just going for the crossroads. Was like, it's there. You know, I mean, in the end, but I also stand by the thing that part of me does believe Cody is a heel in sheep's clothing. He's a wolf in sheep's clothing. I want to see
the heel turn.
It's too soon still. It is too soon. Still.
I do not care about Cody. The only reason I care about Cody right now is because I get to go, whoa! Like, when he comes out and then when he wins. You know what I mean? Like, otherwise, like, make him interesting. White bread babyface, Cody he's got so much more.
So we kind of spoke about this before going on the air. And I told you that, you know, you kind of got to trust the process here. 85 to 90% of everything Triple H has done has always had a purpose and gets called back on for whatever reason.
I just can't wait. Just can't wait till I see a crowd shot and there's little kids crying. Why, Cody? Why?
And right now, you know, yeah, we also had the highs of 2 years of Cody chasing this championship. You know, he makes his return at WrestleMania against Seth Rollins, beats him. He goes through that year being booked great, wins the Rumble, loses at WrestleMania 39 to Roman in an incredible match.
The bruised pec.
Yeah. Oh, yes. The bruised pec. Oh, God, was that a moment. And and so we get to there, and then we get through almost the entire year of Cody on Raw being booked as a world champion without a world championship. Who Seth Rollins was the world champion on Raw. That was a fantastic bookended reign. But anyway, so now, second Royal Rumble win. We finally have Cody finish the story. We get that ultimate high that the story was finished. Because I will disagree that the story had to be finished at some point, and better now to capitalize on it because fans will lose interest.
Agreed.
He will never get a heel John Cena.
He was heel when he had that dramatic with Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, what an acid trip that WWE gave everybody during COVID for that. Jesus.
I might have to watch that again tonight.
Yeah, just real quick, my favorite part of that is not even the match, the cinematic thing, which was great. I really enjoyed. It was Byron Saxton's reaction of just eyes wide open, staring blankly into the camera, like, what the just happened? Like, what? Like, did somebody slip me something? What did I just watch? Because that is.
I think that was the quote. That was the quote. What did I just watch?
Yeah, because I think we all collectively felt the exact same way. We all enjoyed it. We just didn't know at the time how to take it in.
And how important it would really be in the grand scheme of things, and how much more interesting it is now.
I mean, that was one of the few interesting things of that WrestleMania, but that's a different story altogether. But real quickly before moving on, I want to talk about now. We get to which, by the way, is talking about the finish of the match. Brian Milky, what is going on? How are you doing over in the UK, good sir? Let me make sure I get this right real quick. We are me, BJ, and Ryan Milky are part of a collaboration of content creators, the Media Moguls Productions. So shout out to all you guys. We appreciate the support. But so back to my point real quick. It's Charles Robinson. So he's knocked out the entire match. Now we see all the time refs take the spots, they go outside the ring. And they always take the time to get back into the ring and count to 3. I love that Charles Robinson just pulled himself up, looked, and he's like, I can see the shoulders. 1, 2. I absolutely love that because it saves a bit of time. And also it sells the fact that he took a hard bump.
That was something we've never seen before.
I absolutely love it. And I'm not saying I want to see it every time.
No, but it really sold the moment.
Yeah, that was how hard hitting of a match and important of a match this was. That he wasn't going to waste time after taking that bump to take 5-10 seconds to climb in the ring and have us all sitting there like, now it's not believable. Like if that was just a call he made himself.
Like when Triple H pinned Booker T.
So, where would you like to go on from here, sir?
What do we got? We already ran through the whole Saturday night.
Yes.
So now we're running backwards, huh?
Yeah, I mean, that's the big news, right? But there is plenty of other big news.
Oh, no. I know. I'm just trying to think. I told you off air again. For the
so we don't lately with a lot of the big WWE stuff going on. We haven't been able to give AEW a lot of time.
Yeah, Lil Nate. I said that earlier.
I just want to give a couple things that the Continental Classic tournament. That has been absolutely amazing. Like, those have really been some bangers of matches they have put on.
And the format is great.
Yeah.
I love the round robin, no one at ringside, like time limit, like point system. I feel like if wrestling wants to feel more like a sport, like that is how you make it happen.
Yeah. Adam Cole will be facing MJF at World's End. Him and Kyle O'Reilly had a great match. And that story that they're telling the United Kingdom or whatever they're calling themselves. I disagree. I think that this whole Death Riders thing of something that I said off the air or before we got on the air was that I feel like AEW's finally telling stories. And they're telling stories. I'm not saying it's WWE, but this whole Death Riders
I'm
thing.
not saying they're like the end-all be-all of wrestling storytelling.
No, No, but if they're going to start, you start somewhere. You can't expect them to start telling stories and start setting stuff up and be like they're booking to their next show being WrestleMania.
Look,
You
I
know.
like the story. Okay, I like that whole death right. I like everything that's going on. Okay, I just
We have no clear direction of where they're going with it yet because
That's
it's
what I
still
was gonna
so
say.
fresh.
that's what I was gonna say. Like, what's the end game here? Like, where
I
are they
did-
going with this?
I think at some
'Cause
point,
right now they're just beating up everybody, and especially Orange Cassidy.
I mean, Orange Cassidy also putting himself out there to get constantly beaten up, and I love Orange.
Well, he's the hero we need.
I mean, I compare Orange to Deadpool as being the Deadpool of pro wrestling. He breaks kayfabe on the purpose just to purposely do it, and I absolutely love it because it gets the response it should. It's like, this is entertaining and fun. But now, talking of storytelling, look at this past year of the Orange character and the evolution
Oh yeah,
of this character's now
Yeah, he wears
speaking
black
with emotion.
Yeah.
He's showing Orange Cassidy 5 years ago never showed emotion. He was just like,
oh no, his whole gimmick was the hands in the pocket, the lack of
the lack of care, but still,
motivation.
the lack of care, but he can still go.
Yeah, when he feels like it, which it takes a lot. But and by the way, man, I've gone back and watched some Orange Cassidy matches. Man, he had some comedy bangers with the likes of Swoggle.
Oh yes,
Who else? Man, there were so many good like old school Orange
Oh,
Cassidy matches
I
before
forget-
AEW existed.
I forget who it was against. And it was about a year before AEW had launched. I'm on YouTube and I see a clip of this indie match, and it's with Orange Cassidy. And the guy rocked him essentially to sleep like a baby, had him down with a pillow for his
I
head,
remember
a
that.
blanket over, and then he goes to pin him and he stops the ref like, you have to count lightly. I don't want to wake him up. And his kick out was just him rolling over. Absolutely love it because it's entertaining and it's fun. But let's see here.
Catching up.
Yep. I mean, not
yeah,
every
yeah,
story
didn't see
is
that
going to
one.
be a hit, but people
Yeah,
can't
agreed, heel mark.
people can't complain that there's no storytelling, and then they're just dipping their toes in to tell stories with certain characters, a lot like WWE 10 years ago. Nobody had a story besides the top programs. Everybody else was just there. And even the top programs weren't interesting. They didn't get interesting until AEW became a thing.
Well, you had Vince calling the shots. He would rewrite shows like 10 minutes
Yeah.
before they went on air.
But I'm also making the comparisons to final product of what we saw. Current AEW product and WWE product 10 years ago is very similar. Maybe not in the escalation of violence, but if you're looking at much less storytelling and
just
the
no
narrative-
reason for it kind of stuff.
Yeah. And we're seeing something that whatever is building with the Death Riders, I think is something I speculated was going to happen when the Young Bucks took over. There is still a thing that I still feel like that of the storyline of a power fight for the company. You know, we had a kind of seeds of that planted with the Young Bucks, and Okada took over with Jack Perry. And then it kind of got dropped for whatever was going on with Daniel Bryan and the Blackpool Combat Club, which is now the Death Riders, and they tried to basically off him. I mean, there's definitely something here to be told, and it's just them figuring out how to tell the story. And they've built the interest into this Mox storyline because can't nobody say Mox doesn't deserve to be champion. And everybody in those spots deserves to be there in those top spots. Maybe besides Marina Shafir, but that's a different story altogether. She fits the group. So, but all that has now led us to where we're at with a fatal four-way at World's End with Hangman, Orange Cassidy, and Jay White. Like Mox is being somebody who is being very, I want to say Bret Hartish, and what he's doing. He's saying that everybody here wants the championship but doesn't want to fight for it. He's trying to bring back something that is missing in pro wrestling. Everybody's all about having a good time. He's there to fight.
That aspect of the story I love. The like, you've all gone soft, fight for your spot. I like that, but it doesn't translate well when the actions are just, we're just gonna go there and beat up this guy.
Just to look at AEW weekly program doesn't mean as much, even though how fast it moves. It's all about their pay-per-views. That's where we get to see the best of the best that they have to offer. Because then there is no real storytelling happening on those shows. We're getting a 4-hour, 12-13 match pack card. Which, hey, Mox might not be champion much longer with Christian saying he's lurking and he's waiting for the right opportunity to cash in his contract. Which, in all honesty, how much I don't want to see Mox drop the title. I don't think his storyline and what they're doing, that Death Riders need the championship. Christian would be a great champion with this current incarnation of him. Because I think this is the best he's been his entire career.
I can see that working, definitely. So let's get it. Heel Mark, what do you got? Huge NXT guy, as Danger Ginger knows, but what are they doing with Carmen Petrovic? So talented, they were doing some ridiculously stupid storyline. This has me really upset. Thoughts? They have too many women that they need to give an identity to, and Carmen Petrovic, I think they're just pushing to the side because she's foreign, so we can work with that.
Well, I don't think necessarily being pushed to the side. I think that's a bit of wrong way to put it. I think they're starting to finally give her something to do instead of just showing up being something short term for 2 or 3 weeks, and then she's back to having singles matches, gets pulled into something in another tag team match. Where we're just seeing the beginning of this storyline, whatever it is with her, Nikia Lyons and Ashanti, whatever it is, because what I don't get is from NXT last week was the idea that he came out and took the shot from Nikita for her to win that match. And she got mad because he pushed her out of the way. He saved her from taking a move that could have ended the match. So, there's a lot.
No, agreed, Heel Mark. Let's exploit the appearance and not the ability, and just sell her short.
I mean, I don't think she's being sold short by any means. I think that she is taken seriously, and that her character is standing by that she wants to be taken seriously. But at the same time, she's also a normal person, and she's invested time into something that she doesn't know which way it's going right now.
I will be right back, but I'm still listening.
So, I mean, we could talk some NXT real quick. We had the Javon Evans and Wes Lee match from NXT, which was a highly competitive, high-flying match. I enjoyed seeing these two start in the Iron Survivor match at Deadline. I thought it was the perfect start to that. And then they continue that feud on, at least somewhat. I see this feud continuing for a while. Heel Mark, I completely agree with you about that. I definitely think she's one of the top 5, but I think she's still really green. And that if I've learned anything in NXT, we get new stars starting to be introduced for a couple of years. And now that a lot of their probably top names are going to be called up in the next probably 4 or 5 months. Roxanne's probably going to get called up soon. I could see possibly Cora Jade maybe getting called up soon. And the same thing with the men, with a possibility of Trick Williams being called up soon. There's a lot of change that is going to happen, and NXT deals with that really well. Yeah, especially considering how jacked that division is at the top of the card with Julia, Stephanie Vakir, Roxanne Perez, Zarya. there is a lot going on in that division there. So there's a lot of room for movement.
There's also a lot of like unappealing to the general public women in that division who are just absolute monsters. You know, not a lot, but I mean, like, yeah. So it's not just about that, but they're going to use that. Sorry.
It's just something to where, you know, she is going to be very solid in that women's North American Championship division. Like that, I'm not going to say that's her ceiling, but that's something to where she is a legitimate contender to Fallon Henley, just like Nakia Lyons would be. It seems like they're getting ready to gear up for something big for that mid-card division as well. Like there's Shawn Michaels. Hey, we talk about Triple H cooking with the main roster. Shawn Michaels is doing equally great and maybe debatably better cooking in NXT because he doesn't have the stars that Triple H has on Raw the book. And NXT is still interesting week in and week out, and especially since the switch over from 2.0.
That is an interesting point. Most times I turn on NXT after I haven't seen it in a couple of weeks, and I'll be like, who are these people? And then by the end of the episode, I'm like, fans of all of them. Also, Heel Mark says Javon Evans is my dog, but will they ever do anything with him beyond mid-card? Because in the past, I'm worried with wrestlers of his Townsend. Talent, I'm assuming. He's using text-to-speech guessing. Talent. Yeah, no, he's going to be a star.
Yeah, like, I don't like this idea that just because somebody makes a big splash, that they have to be pushed to the top of the card right away. Like, Javon Evans is still green. He's still learning. Like, he's had notable moments. He hasn't had a notable achievement yet. He's had notable matches, but how many of those notable matches has he won? He's in these moments. He is a part of them. That is them.
Put them there for a reason.
Yeah. They're like, hey, watch this guy. Make sure you pay attention to this guy. You know, like it doesn't say anything more than you have a match with Randy Orton. You screwed up a move.
And still got props.
Yeah, like, and that's all most people will remember of that match, but not the fact that he was in the ring with Randy Orton. And they booked him to give Orton a run for his money. I can't say that I looked forward to NXT more than the main roster, but I look forward to all the shows just at differing degrees. Like right now, there's a lot.
Every week it's a different show.
Yeah.
Every week it's a different show. Like, oh, I can't wait. You know, every week it's a different show.
Like, I think WWE overall is doing great business right now, just across the board.
Yeah, it's amazing what a small change can make.
But Javon Evans, this time next year, he might not be ready for his call-up yet, but he's going to have a championship up. He's going to have that notable actual breakout match to get him to the next level. And that's, I think, what we're all waiting for. Because you can go out there, be high-flying, and get the pops. But there's something about doing all those moves, in my opinion as a fan, going out there just to get pops and then working for the pop. You know, he's very high energy. Yeah, you know, like he's going to be something, but we have to remember in WWE will always be the big guy territory. The small guys flourish there, but it's the big guy territory.
Also, wrestling isn't about instant gratification.
It's storytelling.
It's about building up. It's about building to something. You know, and like, yeah, I do believe that they are building to something with Javon Evans, but we might not see him on the main roster for another year or so.
And then now that's where we revisit the conversation of what does he do now on the
I
main
agree.
roster? That's what I'm saying. So like you have him, like they're going to work him up, because let's look at even that men's division. There's a lot going on in those men's divisions, like Obafemi and Trick Williams at New Year's Evil for that title.
That's what he's going to do when he gets called up. Death feud with Orton.
Oh God! What do you want him to punt kick the kid's career through the uprights?
Anyway, go on.
Another moment I actually enjoyed from NXT this week was I have my notes. Where did I see it? Oh, Axiom and Nathan Frazier. Whatever they are doing with this team, it is entertaining. Yeah, it's entertaining me, and I'm just waiting for the split to happen now, because these guys at Deadline, one had to compete twice, one had to compete once, and they have the whole conversation in the back during a promo that, Nathan Frazier felt bad about Axiom having to carry the work, and in the end, they ended up both going to Ava at separate times. Axiom got himself a match with Omafemi. Nathan Frazier, on the same show, now they will be defending the tag team titles. Oh, I think against Gallus. Like, what are you guys doing? You're just trying to lose these championships? Like, you can only get lucky for so long, which brings me back to why I don't like open challenges.
This is a fresh take on the whole tag team champions who hate each other thing. No. Instead of like it being all tag team matches where they somehow win even though not being on the same page, it's kind of more like they're all trying to outdo each other. You know, they're trying to outdo the other one. I don't know. I like it. It's a fresh take.
Yeah, and then the other moment that I absolutely got a kick out of was as the show's going off the air after the Roxanne Perez Cora Jade beating Kalani Jordan and Julia in the tag team match. We get Eddie Thorpe in the back, who earlier in the night came out and approached Omafemi about being the one jumping him. And, Oba's like, oh, you didn't see who attacked you from the front? Oh, yeah, because that's where I'm coming from. I don't need to attack from behind. Which Eddie Thorpe somehow twisted around the trick to get a title match. Ava agrees to it, and we get to right before they go off the air. Eddie Thorpe signing the contract. Ava looks at him. Hey, just so you know, we're still looking into who attacked you. Eddie Thorpe tells her not to worry about it. I faked it, so I didn't have to go through the Iron Survivor, 25 minutes of hell to get my title shot. I thought that was great. I think that's going to be not a test, but we're going to see if Eddie Thorpe has what it takes to be at the top of that card.
Yeah, haven't seen too much of him, right?
Yeah. Like, he has the look, and I believe his promo skills need a little bit of work, but that just comes with getting the time.
Yeah.
But what a move by Eddie Thorpe. They're definitely making him out to be somebody who just doesn't have the skill, but has the brains. Because, hey, he didn't have to go through 25 minutes to get that championship match. He's getting it before Obafemi even.
Right.
So that was fun. But I'd like to swing back over to AEW real quick now. And the return of Tony Storm.
You mean Timeless Tony? Oh, wait.
No. Tony Storm.
Retired.
Yes. Apparently, Timeless Tony Storm has gone off into the sunset for now. We now have back, which this isn't normal Tony Storm from the promos I've seen. I don't know what's going on here. It's still kind of timeless-esque and like the way the character's being presented. But, you know, I'm going to miss that timeless Tony Storm gimmick personally. I really am. But her character so far is like, she had a match on Collision this past week. She wins it, and she's like, hey, I've always wanted to say this. Tony Storm's all elite. Like, wait, where have you been the last 3 years? Because you've been all elite. But, hey, you know, that's should be interesting to see where that goes, because it seems like eventually that will... Oh, okay. I mean, they actually have been teasing her return, just not in the way. Like when they did the Mina return promo, they had it flash black and white. They were dropping little things, you know, but they were dropping timeless Tony Storm hits. They weren't dropping that we were just getting a new version of just Tony Storm. In the chat, Matt King of Bros being on team, I think that was a one-off due to injury, and they were at a convention. It was really cool to see, but he lost.
Who's the biggest name we can track down?
Yeah, or who can we find just to be in this spot? I thought it was cool though. I enjoy seeing Matt Riddle wherever, whenever.
You know, personal life aside, I love his ability. I love him in ring, his persona, everything about it. But not his personal life.
Who?
Riddle.
Okay. I thought I heard you say somebody else's name.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. I am. That's another in TNA. That's another thing I'm very interested in as well. Because I've seen speculation that it could be Baron Corbin. I'm speculating it could also be a tag team. I just don't know what that 23 would relate to. Is this somebody new, something being repackaged as a TNA gimmick style thing? You know, like, I like it when I don't have the answers to these questions. There's not enough.
Yeah.
Because they've only aired it twice so far. Both have been after Sami Callihan and PCO tag team matches. And it seems like whatever it is targeting one or both of them.
The return of Ohio versus
And
everyone.
their style of wrestling, it could be anybody.
The
Also, Joe Hendry is our number one contender again for the TNA Championship. I'm really hoping that they put that belt on him. I think beating Dolph would lead to the credibility of him being believable. I'm just worried that JBL will show up again. You know, doing JBL things. Let's see, what else oh wait, I don't have any TNA notes. Yeah, that's on me. Let's see. Yeah, that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, GCW.
Yeah.
It was the GCW show last night. You know, I love the idea of the cross promotion.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, I'll say this: WWE is the only company that really that you have to clear through them, mostly for indie get guys to appear on your indie shows, unless it's like just signings.
It's weird though, because AEW has been pulling so many guys from GCW appearances lately.
But at the same time, Matt Cardona is working a Ring of Honor championship program with Chris Jericho. When Chris Jericho showed up, it was to attack Matt Cardona. So if you're not going to take advantage of the cross promotion, why do you even bring Matt Cardona in?
It's just weird that they're pulling so many people from GCW appearances, but then they're going to like work with them, you know, in this manner.
I mean, there could be any reason why they're pulling some of these people, you know, like, especially right now, AEW, they're gearing up for one of their biggest shows to date in January. You know, not even including World's End.
Yep.
You know, I'm not against Jericho returning to the WWE, but I
Listen,
think I think after AEW, Jericho's done. I think if he returns to WWE, it'll be maybe for one last short run and a Hall of Fame induction.
and then a producer role.
I could see him even more being a coach at the Performance Center. Like, I think there's a lot to learn from Chris Jericho.
Yeah, I feel like
I can see him. Yeah, maybe also a Legends deal, as Wrestle Realm said. I think that would be something too. But I think what he wants to do now, and the whole reason he left, he wants to help build up the next generation. That's been a lot of things, and we look at everything he's done. That
yeah, right with you, Mark.
Oh, so do I. Jesus, so do I. But
But
know,
not as Zack Ryder.
no, as Matt Cardona. If he
Yeah.
returns as Zack Ryder, then they
uh,
need to revert Cody back to Stardust and make them a tag team. All right, that's how I feel about that.
Well, hold on, because Zack Ryder won the tag team titles with a bunch of different people, didn't he? Or
Yeah.
he was in tag team. Kane at one point, right?
Yeah, and then Eve Torres broke up with him and pushed him off the stage. Matt Cardona or Zack Ryder had a lot of bad luck, man.
And he still got over.
Riddle back maybe one day, but
I hope so,
he-
but I don't know.
he has to get over himself. He has to learn how to work within the rules. I think Riddle,
Doing blow at nightclubs and accusing cops of touching you at the airport is not the way to get back in the good graces of WWE.
yeah, no, not at all.
Oh, sorry, the doing blow thing happened while he was in WWE. But yeah, not something. I don't know, man. He's got to really get his stuff together. I would love to see it though, because I'm a fan of his persona.
I think here's the thing, and I've heard, I think it was a CVV interview that he did with DDP recently. He asked DDP about what he thought of Triple H's running the show so far, and he said he thinks he's done great, and part of the reason why is because Triple H is one of the boys. He went through everything. You gotta remember, Triple H was at the bottom of the barrel when the curtain call happened, because Vince wasn't going to punish Shawn, and he couldn't punish Nash or Hall because they were leaving. Who was left? Triple H. The year Stone Cold won King of the Ring, Triple H was supposed to be in that spot. And everything worked out in the end when you look at it, unless Triple H had one long con plan from that point on to take over the company. Because if so, now that's long-term storytelling.
Now he's stuck in this marriage that he hates for like the last 30 years.
3 kids,
But he succeeded in his goal.
I mean, and DX took over the industry. What do you want?
Yeah.
Oh, man. But for Matt Riddle to return, he just has to get his personal life straightened out. I think there's a lot of stuff there to unfold, and he has a lot of growing to do still to realize
Not a lot of
that.
growing to do.
But if Triple H, knowing all that, I think that if there was a real conversation, that it would be considered. Because Riddle, completely over in WWE. Him and Randy Orton credits Matt Riddle with Matt Riddle rejuvenating his career and making him love wrestling again. Just like Pat McAfee made Michael Cole love doing commentary again.
And
like there's some
on TV, that was a very, very well done story arc.
Oh yeah, from not wanting the team to teaming together and actually being fully successful as a tag team. Like
neither of them ever ended up turning on each other.
Well, that's because one got injured and the other got released. We never got.
Well, it would have happened. Like, that
would
was the goal.
it? Would it have? Like, I mean, we
Yeah,
saw
they wouldn't
we
have-
saw Randy RKO him, and they still teamed together.
Thoughts on the Velveteen Dream? Nah, man, he's cooked. He's cooked.
God.
Yeah, no. He although I have heard his name pop up here and there, but like he isn't even getting booked on the Indies.
I think part of that's because he hasn't really put himself out to be booked. Like somebody would take a chance on him. There's always those promoters that, and I'm not talking about GCW or a JCW or MLW even. I'm talking about like
OXPLMW.
throw a dart at the alphabet 3 times, and there you go. Figure it out
Some
from there.
small city in the middle of Alabama somewhere.
Yeah, you know.
No, I mean, someone will, if he puts himself out there, take a chance. But if I see he's booked for a show, I'm not going. You know.
Yeah, you better have some really big names booked on that show so that his name blends into it and you don't realize who he is.
Again, loved his persona.
Oh man, I was a huge fan of his.
That Aleister Black match, nothing like it.
Yeah, he had again. Circle back around the conversation earlier when I was talking about Javon Evans, that he's had moments. Velvet Dream wasn't just somebody who had moments. He had the matches to back up those moments. I mean, you have the Ricochet match.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
They had a great feud. Him and Adam Cole, I believe, had a really good feud before, and which was the lead up to Cole winning the championship.
Right.
Like, there's a lot there with him, and I think his character, you know what, here's the thing, he was great in NXT. He goes on to Vince's main roster. He flounders.
You're right. It's almost kind of better for him.
Well, I mean, you know, I hope someday, you know, that, because, you know, everybody makes mistakes. Most people deserve second chances, but he's probably not going to be one of them.
And that's why you're the heel, Mark.
I mean, you know what? Like I said, everybody makes mistakes. If it happens, he gets a second chance. I hope he does better, but it's going. But you know what? Just like with anybody else in any other sport who's made a mistake,
who is going to be comfortable being in a locker room with him now? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's a mistake.
Now we're having a conversation to where a locker room would probably JBL him like JBL did to the Miz.
Yeah.
And there's no, and I'm going to say this regardless of the situation. I might not be a talent. I might not be in locker rooms, but I'll say this, that would be a no-go in any locker room.
Like,
but with the idea of veterans, I think people would walk off a card and say they're not appearing instead of the whole bullying. JBL was.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, when it came to the Miz, I don't know any of the stories personally, but from what I've heard, great guy. And, you know, JBL was doing a little bit of gatekeeping, you know, because let's be honest, there was a time where that's not acceptable today. There's a time where it was, and in JBL's time, that was, but Miz really got the short end of that stick, and Miz is better for it.
Right around the same time, I was just watching the Stevie Richards show when he was talking about the whole Blue Meanie incident, and like, you know what I mean? Yeah, he is a bully. Maybe he's humbled now that he's just making occasional appearances to clothesline the hell out of people.
Yeah, I think he's more humble now because we're talking about a time where, you know, the world was different.
That was back when they still had the Wrestlers Court.
I mean, I think Wrestlers Court is still a thing. We just don't hear about it personally.
Oh no,
Because
I
it's a
mean,
lot. Because usually it's a locker room thing. The top, because the most respected guy is usually the judge, which in WWE at one point was always the Undertaker. But also every story I've ever heard about Wrestlers Court, even if it was something serious, it was treated like a joke. You know, you could just buy the judge off bringing him a bottle of alcohol or something. Like they made a mockery of it. Was just to put the person in front of everybody and tell them they did something wrong, and they made it fun in the end. You know, not saying there weren't probably serious cases at one point, but the majority of stories I've ever heard, it's like, yeah, it's serious at first, and in the end, it's one big rip. And we're just telling the young guy of what he did and how he screwed up.
yeah, I've heard some other stories, but I'm not trying to get into that right now. Um, Again, Stevie Richards show, he talks a lot about that.
Yeah. I'm hit and miss on Ronaldo. Like, he's not horrible, but I don't miss him.
I loved him. He was great.
Yeah, I prefer hearing him call boxing personally. I feel like he's more knowledgeable in it, and I digest it better than him calling wrestling. But that's just me. That's me personally. I think he did a good job. But
speaking of commentary, what's this guy's name? Pepitone? Joe Pepitone?
Joe Tessitore?
Tessitore, that's it. I like him.
Oh,
And
I love Joe. I love Joe
usually
Tessitore.
I do not like new commentators on Raw or SmackDown or whatever it is. I like the guy. I think he's got a great voice, and I really like what he's doing.
And he's really finding his flow. And you could see that he practiced even before his first show.
Yeah,
But
right
he
off
had
the
the
bat,
game.
like
Yeah,
I
he had
thought he was like seasoned right off the bat.
Yeah, but you could still see he had to find his flow. You know, Joe Tessitore had to figure out how to call wrestling because it's not boxing.
Right.
Calling commentary in a wrestling match is much different than any other sport. You know, I feel like Joe Tessitore brings a lot of natural excitement, not like Pat McAfee, but close to it because he's a true lifer of being a fan of pro wrestling. This isn't just a job for him. This is something he wants to do. That is something I love about Pat McAfee, which, by the way, he did great for just hopping in and showing up for Saturday night's main event. Like, I was not expecting that.
Especially being a former athlete when not being much of a broadcaster at that point.
Yeah, Joe Tessitore is a great addition, and I do believe once Raw goes to Netflix in the beginning of the year that it's going to be Michael Cole back on as the lead commentator on Raw. I believe was already announced. And I'm okay with them switching it back up because we're going to get a whole new presentation. And I think Cole as the voice of WWE now. Because
Heel Mark, no. King and JR are the voice of Raw, okay?
They are a voice of a different era. And they're not just of Raw, but they were a different voice of the era of WWE. Just like there was a time to where Michael Cole may have, for a long time, has now been considered the voice of WWE. But there was a good time where the best comment, even with King and JR on Raw, there was a time, in my opinion, that I felt like Taz and Cole was the better announced.
Oh, Taz and Cole were great. Yeah, no, they were amazing.
Like, I do feel like, and I feel like it was just whatever stories were going on, dictated that of who was being better at what point on what show.
Taz and what's his name on TNA?
Tenay?
Tenay, yeah, that's his name.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was a great combo as well.
But of the current voice, if I'm going to pick the current announced team I want, it would always be Cole and McAfee. And it's nothing against anybody else. I feel like Vic Joseph and Booker T do a great job on NXT.
I used to hate Graves. I don't mind him now.
Corey Graves is a great heel commentator. He's like, I hope that he got the time to sit down with Jesse Ventura and even just take notes, because there's just something about being a heel commentator. Like the King was a heel commentator, but he was a comedy heel commentator, and he just always
Joey
sided with
Styles.
the heels.
Oh my God, heel mark. Yeah, no, Joey Styles is the one.
So if we're talking about my Mount Rushmore,
And he did it all alone.
yes, that is why he is on my Mount Rushmore, because
Yeah.
at CW for the majority of it, he had people in the booth with him at times, but a lot of it he did himself. Like 85% of all that commentary during original ECW days before going to TNN was all Joey, and maybe Shane Douglas here and there, maybe another wrestler here and there, just because they were injured or something.
Right.
But he called a lot of that stuff by himself.
Oh yeah, agreed. Wrestle Realm, Lucha Underground, super underrated, amazing for what it was.
I agree,
that's
highly underrated. And we got some stars from today from there. With where Ricochet really got his break.
Who was King Cuerno?
Not Ray, or Penta was down there, right?
Yeah, Penta and Ray Phoenix. Heel Mark asked, who is your Mount Rushmore? I guess we're talking commentators.
All right, putting me JR, Joey Styles, Michael Cole. I have to give it to him. He's been a consistent voice for over 20 years, for 25 years in my life of watching wrestling. And you know what? No. Tenay, Taz, Cole, JR. You know what? No. I can. So hold on. I got JR, Joey Styles, Michael Cole, and you know what? Tony Schiavone. Tony Schiavone is. Go ahead.
Styles, Taz, Tenay, Cole, Bobby Heenan.
So Bobby Heenan, I don't put on my commentary. I loved him on commentary. I just loved him much more as a manager.
Oh, of course.
I loved him much more, and how great he was on commentary. A lot of his commentary style stuff was always great. He was smooth. But when I'm looking at some of the most legendary calls I've heard guys make, it's JR, Joey Styles, Tony Schiavone, and Michael Cole, who are the voices of some of those great epic moments for me, of that they just had the privilege to be at the announce table to be able to do it. And it's a bit. Yeah, that was. Yeah.
Who's 5?
Mount Rushmore only has 4 faces.
Oh yeah, that's right. I thought it was.
Well, if we're going to pick a 5th, then yes, Bobby Heenan would be my 5th.
Fair enough. Okay.
Because Bobby, even though a lot of people will say he always ruined the reveal of Hogan being the 3rd man, I always counter with this. You find me a time and Bobby Heenan being an announcer or a manager or anything where he said something nice about Hulk Hogan. He never did. Hulk Hogan was his number 1 rival.
Hulk Hogan was the reason he did everything he did, pretty much. In WWE, WCW.
Now, if we're going, Jesse the Body Ventura might be the best heel commentator ever.
Be right back. I'm listening.
That's where I put Jesse Ventura at. But if I'm talking about the voices that called some of the biggest matches that I got to see live, then those are the 4 names for me. Joey Styles, because I grew up in the area where ECW broadcasts weekly. Vince was a good commentator, but he wasn't JR. He wasn't Joey Styles. He wasn't Tony Schiavone. He wasn't Mike Tenay. He wasn't King. He was those those
He was
three-man.
top 10.
You know what? I would say that maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that's debatable. I don't know about now.
Fair enough.
You know, like there's just so many guys that, and
Definitely.
I always knew that Vince was the owner. I always knew Vince was the boss.
Right.
That was
right.
something that wasn't a secret for me to where a lot of fans didn't know. I was one of the ones that kind of because I would catch the references. And that's really what that comes down to. Mount Rushmores are very opinionated. I love doing them. I like having that type of stuff because it does open room for debate. Wrestling is very... where something doesn't necessarily register with one person, it registers with others and vice versa. It is an art form, and so everybody has a different reaction to it, which is one reason why I love pro wrestling. Let's see, what else do we have to talk about? This whole CM Punk Seth Rollins feud.
And like, I know it wasn't stated like weeks ago, but I clearly I was like, oh, this is obviously where this is going, but I didn't even realize. You know what I mean? It was just obvious, and I didn't realize it wasn't obvious.
I mean, I knew eventually they would circle back around to it. And
Yeah.
I love the idea that Punk said he was interested in Rollins because Rollins had something he wanted. But why do I want to fight you now? I have no reason. But I love the promo that Seth Rollins came out and everything he said. Like, yes, I was...
Hell yeah.
Oh, hell yeah, Wrestle Realm. Yes. We try to have great, productive, non-tribalistic conversations here.
You're an idiot for thinking that.
Well,
yeah, none of that here.
You know, if somebody's an idiot for thinking something, this is what they get. They get Trent Acid calling them a mark. All right. And if you don't like that one, you know, we also have Donnie B calling you a mark. But yeah,
30 years ago.
That feud's going to be very interesting. It seems like now that... Oh, yes, man. Yes, I told you this yesterday. So during your stream, by the way, which was a great stream, by the way, I enjoyed being in the chat and being part of that conversation last night after Saturday night's main event.
It's all about the positivity. Having productive, positive discussion.
Yes, I'd like to dump as much positivity as possible into a world where there is a lot of negativity from the minority that's somehow the loudest. Yes, I was actually just getting ready to get to that. I just would like to also mention up. I haven't seen anybody get Dominic Mysterio heat like the New Day did this past Monday night. Yeah. And I love the idea of how they're playing it. Hey, you guys are turning. We're not turning on you because
you turned on us.
No, I won't say that. I can't say that the New Day necessarily turned on the fans. What the fans don't like, most fans wouldn't even have. I'm not saying they wouldn't have cared, but the heel turn wouldn't have worked if they didn't turn on Big E the way they did. They essentially verbally eviscerated that man 2 weeks ago.
And then this week on Raw, they're like, "What did we do? What did we do?"
They're like, and the idea that the fans hate them for what they did so much that they wouldn't even let them speak. We haven't seen heat like that since Dominic Mysterio turning on his father.
Well,
and after that, with the Judgment Day, oh man! And we have a group chat for the show. Quite literally, all of us were basically simultaneously saying the same thing. Yes, I do think there's a world where Big E returns.
I really hope so, but I just want him to be safe.
He hasn't had. It is true he never had surgery.
Right.
And just to go back real quick, I can see and agree with a lot of things Kofi and Xavier said. Because Big E did get the injury, and that was the first time we actually seen him come out to a ring since then.
Right.
You know, like, where was Big E when everything, all this downtrend was starting and they could have used him then? You know, but did they need to do that the way they did? No. Are they getting the heat for it? Yeah, and rightfully
if
so.
he was available, even if he was available, he's a SmackDown superstar.
But could he? But I mean, technically not. Technically, he'd be a free agent because he wasn't drafted in the last draft due to.
Oh,
his
there was
injury.
that. Yeah, there was that draft since then. Yeah, come to think of it.
So technically, he would be a free agent, but that's neither here nor there. I think that sometime in the near future, it could be on the first Raw on Netflix. It could be a little bit after. I think we could see Big E coming back to manage a tag team or bring a new group of guys. Because I think there's something there. There's a story to be told. And the idea that we haven't gotten the explanation. All we know is they're like, we did it for us, which is fair. If Big E's not going to be there. And I also feel like that since Big E got injured, the New Day was missing that energy that Big E brought. Like every time you hear their music hit, you hear Big E, you know, and I just want to look over and see him coming out with them.
Oh, yeah.
I am interested to see where the New Day goes. Like, I think they need to change the name personally. Let's put the gimmick to rest now.
I would just love it if they went with Kingston and Woods. And just like a simple, like I said, I think it was last week, wear all black, just a simple, no nonsense, you know.
There's a lot of room there to see where they're going to go. And I'm still upset in hindsight that there was the hint of both of them turning heel. And I never thought that they would both turn on Big E. And I still think there's something to the Majin necklace that Kofi is wearing, because just in Dragon Ball Z lore, that's a mark that brings out the bad in you. So, and also, God, why is it everybody carrying across feuds with turns heel? Seriously, like
that's his magic tap.
Yep. Another thing to quickly cover this week: Braun Strowman returning on SmackDown.
Yeah,
and
to put Carmelo in his place.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel like Melo's getting buried.
Yeah, it does.
He was their first pick. He was the
Maybe
SmackDown.
Melo isn't money.
I thought it was Melo that was money.
Melo is money. I thought that was a thing too.
I thought Melo was him.
I don't know.
Maybe apparently when he shoots, he does miss. But I was really disappointed because Carmelo Hayes, he has an upside to a point where I could see him world heavyweight or WWE champion on one of the shows. I probably more world heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
Like I would more than toward the company title of the world. But I feel like since they drafted him, he's had 2 amazing matches with Cody Rhodes. He's put on bangers with LA Knight and Andrade. Like we've had great matches with him, and it's just they're not letting him build steam. They're not letting him get that momentum. And at this point, I'm kind of hoping for a Trick Williams call-up and maybe they get reunited. And we maybe see them now as babyface. We see him go back to the babyface side. And at some point down the line, build up some tag team wins and see them go against DIY. Because I am looking extremely forward to this DIY heel run. God, their promo on Friday night was absolutely amazing.
And I kind of feel bad that it comes at the expense of the machine guns because, like, but now it explains why they won the belts right away.
Yeah, this was all planned from the start. And it was a good one because, again, this is another situation where you almost feel sympathetic for the heels because Kofi, just like Kofi and Woods, has a point that they feel abandoned. You know, DIY never did get their rightful rematch. They were screwed out of a championship match instead of getting that rematch. So they did what they had to do, and this was all master planned for the start. And it was all Johnny Gargano's idea.
Um,
And did you notice that Ciampa had the gray back in his beard?
I did not notice that.
Yeah, yes, I that was the first thing I noticed. I'm like, oh, black and gold Ciampa. That's what I'm talking about.
I think I did notice, but it didn't like. It seemed like it was never gone.
Even though it clearly was, it's all of a sudden just like.
Now that I think of it, like, oh yeah, he didn't have any gray in his beard for like the last like run.
So since he got called up.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Vince had him dye his beard so he would look younger.
Right. And now it's like making sense. Like, oh yeah.
So, any expectations of what we see this week coming up?
Well, I mean, Bianca. Yeah, no, right there with you. Bianca and Naomi are going to be like the new tag team, and yeah, I mean, clearly, if it wasn't Bailey,
yeah, I definitely don't think it was Bailey. Now, I have a whole theory that what if it was Bianca before the match? I don't know. I'm not saying it makes sense or anything like that. But with the way WWE has presented Jade, she's not the one turning heel right now. She's going to be able to work.
Right. Yeah.
I think she should be the one to turn heel, but if I'm going by what I've seen, I don't think she is.
I would love to see a dominant heel Jade, but like...
Unfortunately, I don't think Bianca had anything to do with it. If that, outside of my theory, because I can't even make it make sense in my head. I just want a legit reason to finally not get looked at weird when I boo Bianca at shows. But I said to a friend last night that I feel like after Bianca made the plea for Naomi to replace Jade as the tag team champion so the titles don't get vacated, because it has happened before, and that he kind of went along with it. And the look on Naomi's face while it was all going, it kind of caught my attention. I don't know if it was something that was voluntary or involuntary and just happened, but I think Naomi's a culprit. I mean, Bianca as a face, yes, but when she was working NXT, she had some very fantastic matches. She's very athletic. She's a powerhouse.
She's ripped. Like, she's gigantic. Like,
I think her character works better as a heel anyway, because she uses that brain. Again, as we said about Cody earlier and heel stuff, that's a heel move.
Not only that, the EST gimmick works better as a heel, or maybe it doesn't, but
yeah, it does. I feel like, you know, I guess that could also be chalked up almost like as the John Cena "you can't see me," right? Because no matter what, you're still going to say the same thing, whether you're a good guy or a bad guy, because you do think you're the best. If you don't think you're the best, why are you even there? Honestly, I always thought that the female version of Cena would be Hugger Gimmick Bailey. Because, God, did the kids love her when she was doing the Hugger gimmick.
But even...
And that was she inspired a girl who wrestles now. She's for Thunder Rosa's promotion is their champion. She was the Bailey girl.
Right.
Like just like stories like that, like and watching like the whole inflatable arm guys.
The
like
only difference is I feel like there's more edge to Cena. You know what I mean? Than like Superface Bailey.
I mean, yeah, but we're looking at Cena, who had already been there 10, 12 years, and Bailey, who was just getting her feet wet at the main roster coming into that. And that the kids, she's one of the examples of coming from NXT to the main roster, and people didn't watch NXT, and they still knew who she was. And she got the pops. Like, it is really a thing to be able to do that, and I think that's part of the reason why they don't turn Bianca heel. At least not right now. Maybe you hit that reset button at WrestleMania
or January 6th.
So then, it's just so much. There's so much sitting there entangled within that storyline because we know now it wasn't Piper Niven. We know it wasn't anybody in the ring. We don't know that it wasn't Naomi, but it's
right.
I mean, I would love for her to be with the Street Profits instead of BFAB. If they were all to be heels,
I feel like that's somewhere down the line. We'll see that.
Yeah, it is very possible. Like, eliminate BFAB out of that situation. Let her go on, and maybe even go back down to NXT a little bit and actually get some ring work in, so that fans get familiar. Because we've seen her have a match once or twice in the last year she's been back.
Only once I remember.
And that was the tournament.
Right.
I want to say maybe there was one other match at some point.
I think so, but there could have been.
I know I remember seeing her have a match or two before the whole Swerve storyline. And
before Swerve got fired, yeah, she might have wrestled, but since Swerve got the boot, yeah, I haven't seen her in the ring except for a couple weeks ago.
But I definitely think we're going to get a continuation of this KO Cody thing. However they do that. Cody was package pile driven after his match and carted out. So that should be interesting to see where that goes. That might give Randy Orton a reason to return now.
Well, I mean, he'll be written off for a while, and Owens is going to want to go on and grab a mic and talk a lot of smack.
But if Cody's the current face and the champion he is, KO yes. Oh, that would be great because he did leave with that would be amazing. Definitely. And just say he's the WWE champion.
Knew what you meant.
But I think we'll see some continuation of that this week. I'm interested to see how they book this tribal combat match with Solo and Roman.
Right. Yeah.
That Roman promo, that's these cinematic promos they've started doing when they're called for have been absolutely amazing. I love how they had Roman break down the last 4 years. Solo wasn't there when it was started. Roman didn't he was given the title of tribal chief by his father and the Ulafala. And how they broke down the last 4 years of storyline in that promo for him to turn around and challenge Solo. And I don't expect the bloodline to not be involved. Because if I learned anything from the last tribal combat was, nobody's supposed to interfere in this match, and everybody interfered in this match. So I'm just like WrestleMania, right? Like, I'm just going to expect the back and forth somehow with the bloodline and people coming out.
Is there anything else you'd like to go over?
All right. World AEW, switching back over real quick, did book Thunder Rosa versus Mariah May for World's End for the women's title in a Tijuana street fight.
That segment with Thunder Rosa was excellent. Or not the segment, but like her at ringside.
Yeah. We found out Will Hobbs will face Takeshita for the international championship. That should be an interesting match.
Really interesting match. Clash of styles there.
Action Andretti and Leo Rush are now the number one contenders after defeating Top Flight this past week. And upset in Blue League Continental Classic action, Mark Briscoe defeated Kyle Fletcher, who is considered by many as the best round robin tournament wrestler in the world. Which is true with the stuff they do in New Japan and stuff. He tends to succeed in those situations. Willow Nightingale defeated Jamie Hayter for the Wrestle Kingdom International Women's Cup Finals to be the AEW representative for that. Matt Cardona and Brian Keith on Rampage. Great opening match. Not much else there. Anything that stuck out to you from this week, sir? That we might not have spoken about?
Nothing immediately comes to mind. I know there was a lot of Continental Classic action, but at this point I was saying, again, before we went on air, by the time Sunday comes around, like, I can barely remember what happened last Monday or last Wednesday, you know. Like, fresh in my mind was Saturday Night Main Event, and otherwise it was just like a blur. Yeah, no, I got nothing.
Best question in the chat from Wrestle Realm. What's your guys' best wrestling movie? I want to watch something I haven't seen this week and curious. Wow.
Not No Holds Barred.
No Holds Barred is good for what it was when it was made. But if we're going to look at The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke,
The Wrestler.
Amazing.
Yeah. What was the one with David Arquette? Ready to Rumble.
I have a love-hate relationship with that movie.
Just
because
terrible.
that movie, all it reminds me of is David Arquette actually winning the WCW championship in real life.
Hey, he's held gold in other promotions. He's a legit champ. He's held gold in other promotions.
Yeah, but what was the first title he held?
The WCW. He started off strong.
Yeah, no. Even me as a teenager knew that was stupid.
All I really remember from Ready to Rumble is Wakey Wakey, Hands Off Snakey.
It's a funny movie.
That line just always cracks me up. I have a friend who his nickname is Snakey. So,
what's the Devon Eric's movie? That was really.
I've not seen it yet.
You know what?
What wrestling movie?
Oh, the Iron Claw. Iron Claw.
Yeah, he's in the chat.
Yeah, The Wrestler's a really good movie because it kind of shows, and I've heard other wrestlers say, even though some movie scenes are exaggerated, but a lot of the basics of things that some wrestlers at the end of their careers are really going through as a family stuff, trying to reconnect and trying to separate themselves from something they've done their entire lives. It's like any other pro athlete.
That movie did a really good job of like wrenching at the heartstrings and just showing you how hard that struggle can be.
Ring of Honor was actually some of that stuff was used to film the movie, if I remember correct. It's been a while since I watched it.
We never got that Mickey Rourke versus Jericho match. Did we?
We were never going to. But yeah,
that's not out of the realm of possibilities.
Yes, we do this every Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I do believe, if I remember correctly, you're in the UK, so that's about 11 o'clock your time in the evening.
It's like 5 in the morning. I don't know.
No, they're 6 hours. It's a 6 hour difference. So they're, I believe, ahead of us 6 hours.
Yeah, bro, we'll definitely set something up, man.
I guess the other thing is the Women's Intercontinental Championship tournament so far. They started that on Raw. Lyra Valkyria won the first match.
Oh, that's not too bad then.
Oh, all right. Yeah. So it's a 5 hour difference. And yeah, wow, we have been almost. This is record breaking our longest stream.
We go longer and longer every week.
Yeah, we really do. And it's thanks to you guys in the chat. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, yeah, this would have been like 35 minutes if it wasn't for the heel mark and wrestling round.
No, we probably would have made it to about an hour 15 because we've almost, from everything I've seen, we've practically covered everything. Oh, the Anything Goes match with Rhea and Raquel last Monday night on Raw was really good and fun.
Yeah.
Oh, another return that I almost Shotzi returning on NXT this
Oh,
week.
oh my God, my future widow, Shotzi.
Widow, wow.
Yeah, she's going to kill me in my
dark.
sleep after 2 years of marriage, totally.
A widow. That's just dark, man. That's
No,
really...
no, she's going to kill me in my sleep.
Oh, wow.
After 2 years of happy marriage. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, we
she's
spoke
amazing.
about
Love
we talked. Yes, we spoke about Braun returning earlier. I feel like they buried Mello in his return.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm hoping that this is leaning towards something for Mello to bounce back because
I don't want to see this feud continue though.
No, I think he's a great talent and he can be a draw. Hopefully they'll give him hope. Maybe he goes to Raw and has a fresh start. Because there's a lot of competition for him across all three brands, even if they want him to go back down to NXT for a short stint. Let's see. Fatal Influence. Yeah, she made the save in that match. Tony D'Angelo retained against Ethan Page this week after D'Angelo offered him the match just because he felt bad for him, which I thought was just hilarious. But anything you guys in the chat are looking forward to this week? I'm definitely looking forward to the continuation of whatever this Seth Rollins CM Punk stuff is.
Was very on brand for Tony D'Angelo to offer him the match.
Yeah, the Don's just trying to take care of people,
What do you want? You want a match? I'll give you a match. All right.
Well, I think at this point we're also gearing up to wrap up here.
And the Drew stuff. I want to see what happens with Drew.
I'm not even sure which way that is going at this point because Drew attacks Sammy, attacks Jay, shows up on SmackDown, attacks Jimmy. We get the match with Sammy. Now,
there's no one left from the original bloodline to attack but Roman.
I mean, what if, just speculating here, what if Drew cost Roman the Ulafala?
I can see it happening, and then there's the feud going forward.
After that, I'd rather Roman maybe disappear for a couple weeks, declare for the Rumble, and instead of jumping right, so we get a setup to the next feud, because then you can have Drew eliminate Roman. Bam. You got the reason for the feud right there, because I really hope Roman does get the Ulafala back, because then this whole thing was for naught.
Yeah.
Unless, I don't think it's Drew that would cost it. I think it would be The Rock. Your tribal elder picking the tribal chief.
Yeah, true.
Because I still think there's a lot of room there for something along those lines. Cena versus Cody. I could see that.
Kevin versus Owens?
Yes.
How's that work out?
Well, it'll be Kevin Steen versus Kevin Owens.
Steen versus Kevin Owens, right. So is this going to be a cinematic match?
And El Generico will be in Steen's corner, and Sami Zayn will be in KO's corner.
Owen Zorton, okay. No, yeah. It all makes sense. And honestly, that's what I'm hoping for at this point.
My WrestleMania card at the moment, if I'm just looking at it, I'm seeing either Roman and Cody against The Rock. I can see Cena, Cody, and Cody going over on Cena because that would maybe make some interest, and you could even use that moment to turn Cody Rhodes heel and that he screws over.
Ooh.
Just saying, since we're speculating here.
Ooh.
I personally think that if it's not Cody Cena, it's Cody Orton.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
But that's something they've been teasing since WrestleMania.
That's gotta happen. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I need to see that heel turn at some point.
Yeah.
What else do I see? We're kind of just getting an idea. If The Rock's able, like I said, I expect him to be part of it. I don't think the Cody heel turn is as imminent as most would think. I'm just saying that's an opportunity there at WrestleMania.
He's lost his luster. Him being the champion, there's nothing there. Turn him heel. Make him
again, as I said, trust the process. Because we got the gear up of WrestleMania and we got that ultimate high of Cody, which was the fear of most fans, was that
you know what
Cody would win the title and then lose interest. I haven't lost interest. I just have seen lack of story of this chaos, this return of Bloodline with Roman, and then that spawn. Think about it. That wasn't completely random. Solo challenged them both. He was in a feud with Cody as well when Roman returned. And then Owens gets mad that Cody teamed with him. There's been story there. It's just we had a lot of filler, like an anime. There was just filler there of stuff that because he needed opponents. And they've all been a great opponent.
Top draw. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and you said trust the process. That's something that's new to me because in the Vince era, I was never able to do that. But now I'm getting used to like, okay, they're going somewhere with this.
Because after like 2012, there was no longer a process.
No,
there was just
I don't like it. Rewrite it.
Yeah, like and it translated to the fans as that. Which fine.
Sir, we have 10 minutes until showtime. I don't care. Rip it up. Rewrite it.
Yeah, or they're writing it on the fly and sending guys out there with no real direction. And it showed.
That's some good.
One of my favorite Vince things. But, it's a lot to take into account. And if I've learned anything with the Triple H booking era, these last two WrestleManias, you can see how you could go back in hindsight and see the train of thought to get there. Yeah. My only argument will always be of last year, Cody winning the Rumble, and then that it was the fans that changed that main event, just like they did with Daniel Bryan.
It only, and right, you got to remember that asterisk in the plan, but it only comes to make sense in retrospect when you think back on it, like, oh, and then that happened because they were going to do this 2 years later. And then they did that, and because they were going to do this in a couple months.
And if you look at everything Triple H has done, when there's been, especially with Bloodline and Judgment Day, because I think they're two of the more longer-term storylines we've had going, just overall with groups, they consistently have been referencing stuff from the Vince era. Like KO referencing his whole feud with Roman during the Thunderdome era and during COVID.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff that they are consistently bringing back up to remind us. As compared to the Vince era, he didn't think we would remember. But you know what? Going back and bringing bringing it back up so that we get to revisit that a little bit. And understand the story that much more. Everything hasn't been, oh, we're just telling a 3-month feud with a lot of these stories. They have been.
Go on.
They've just done with the top stories been long-term booking. And even every mistake has been almost turned into a positive.
Yeah, no, definitely. Agreed. What I was going to, I don't even remember what I was going to say. But no, I mean, like, you look back at the Vince McMahon era, and it's like, well, it was going to be Mustafa Ali, but he got hurt, so we ended up having Kofi Mania. Like, he got lucky with that, like, and did everything he could to fight it. It seemed like storyline wise, where this is like everything just kind of happens organically, like as intended. I don't know. It's just everything's fallen into place, but and maybe it's a credit to their writing, where like I can't see where this is going. Well, maybe that's a good thing.
I mean, or even if we see where it's going, it's also so entertaining that we're getting pulled into the moment. And pro wrestling in the end, it's never necessarily about the match. People will remember the matches that happened, but they might not remember the whole match. They'll remember moments in the
They'll remember moments
or,
from the match.
Like WrestleMania.
But they'll also remember the bigger story.
Yeah, the story.
The overarching story.
Yeah, a lot. Like I off air was talking about the whole Vince McMahon winning the WWE title, and I was watching that SmackDown earlier. Just very fun that I've been sitting there watching that stuff and seeing the layered storytelling then.
Not layered in like the what was it, the Cages of Deathmatch in WCW? Not layered like there's a bunch of stuff happening and nobody knows what's going on, but layered like, oh, they're paying off a lot of stories all at the same time.
Yeah, and that's another thing with the Bloodline right now. They're paying off a lot of stories that everything coming full circle. And that's a beautiful thing. Instead of just breaking this group up and saying, no, we're done with it, you're giving us closure in every aspect of this story. You have a good night too, sir?
Have a good night, my man. Cheers. We'll be in touch.
But there's just so much that can be done. And I also like the idea of the shrinking down of shows almost, right? Like PLEs are 2.5, 3 hour shows with 5, maybe 6 matches.
I am still not used to, at 10:05 every Monday, I still have it on, and I'm like, this is a long commercial. Wait, this is a show. Oh, it's 2 hours now.
I mean, I do believe they go back to 3 hours or some semblance of over 2 once they go to Netflix. And I believe SmackDown might be going 3 hours as well.
I think that's what I heard, yeah.
Which is fine because I stand by it. We've seen them book pay-per-views like that. I think less match. And I see both sides. Like, oh, I watch wrestling for wrestling. Well, you're going to get most of your wrestling on pay-per-views. When it comes to the weekly shows, and we've heard this, I believe, on Spokecast, or I've heard it from other places too, that your weekly show is to sell you to buy the pay-per-view. Or, to go to the big show that actually matters. Like, every show matters. Everything matters.
Right.
But you can't
building to an ultimate goal.
Yeah, you can't expect everything to be that all one thing. Like, AEW packs a lot of wrestling into a 2-hour show. No room to digest. Where WWE, we're having maybe 4 or 5 matches with promos sprinkled out and other little things happening because that it's storytelling. But unless you got anything else, I think on this note, as we are approaching the 2-hour mark.
Coming in a minute short of 2 hours.
Well, I mean, that timer's still going,
Oh, no. Yeah, I'm saying it's when I said that. No, man. Yeah, it's been a very interesting week in wrestling. We had the Saturday night main event. We had the usual suspects: Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite, Collision, and so on. Impact, whatever. It's been a jam-packed week of wrestling. As we say, there is more wrestling than time. And
We
man,
covered a lot today, though. I tell you what.
oh yeah,
But anything else
there was
we
a lot
got?
to cover.
Oh, as always, as I always say at the end of every show, don't forget to check out Spocast
Oh,
Tuesday
of course.
nights at 7
Tuesday nights
o'clock
at 7.
on
Johnny
Johnny
Cashmere's
Cashmere's Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. He will be live. And I guess now would be a good time, February 8th. SPO Wrestling will be having their next show at Harrah's in Philadelphia. Tickets
I
are
can't
on
wait.
sale now.
3 matches have been announced.
Bufa and Face for the
That's
SPO
good.
Championship. We have a ladder match for the Key of the City with Blackout versus Pat Dynamite and Hank the Buffalo.
And then what was that other match?
That's right where I was getting to. You're not just supposed to. Rick, which was announced at the last show. Rick Blade and Simon Gotch versus the Rep.
Oh, I can't wait for that match. I will be
man.
3 feet from them screaming my head off.
I can't wait to do our review show for that match. But now, since we have broken the 2-hour mark,
I just hope you don't end up with Dave in your lap again.
Well, he wasn't in my lap. I just almost took his boot to a forehead with him.
Oh, sorry, that's right.
That was Homeless Vaughn. That was I think Homeless Vaughn that ended up in Chef the Reps and Rob's lap. Oh,
and
God.
If you guys don't know what wrestlers we're talking about, then do the research, man. These guys are amazing.
Yes, SPO, look up their YouTube channel here and go check out their most recent show. It's absolutely amazing. I have clips on my Instagram at the Danger Ginger 1. A lot of cool stuff I have on there from their shows, so you can check that out. Also, the SPO social media pages, Instagram, Facebook. But on that note, ladies and gentlemen, it's been an honor. We are out of here. You guys have a good week. And we will see you next Sunday for more BJ and DG Talk Wrestling.
That's right. That's all we got. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.